Hi there, Jeff Teeper from Microsoft, and welcome to TeamsFest. We're really excited to be a part of this incredible event with you. The Teams community is growing faster than ever and helping customers at an incredibly important time. Just by way of background, I lead the team focused on collaboration, core collaboration in Microsoft 365. So that means Microsoft Teams, SharePoint, OneDrive, and a set of other services in the suite. And we're really appreciative of all the work that people have done to put this event on virtually. I know we'd love to get together and in person, but there's no more important time than to share best practices and the latest roadmaps for remote work and education technologies. And so thank you so much to the sponsors, the organizers, the presenters, and mostly the attendees for joining TeamsFest and access the latest information. We will follow the event and be part of it closely and look forward to your feedback. So just in terms of some context, I'll talk a little bit about some of the things we're doing in the product in a second. But I did want to start with the world has changed, and it's changed forever. With the global pandemic, we've been stressed to support each other, to support remote work and education from anywhere. And we're so grateful for the work that IT leaders have done, first line responders have done in healthcare, in education, and so forth. And many of the lessons that we'll take away from this experience, even as we return to a more hybrid environment, will live with us forever. You know, the one thing I really wanted to emphasize on this journey is that we built this together. Some of you have been with Microsoft 365 technologies since the on-premises days, since Skype, since SharePoint, and a set of other things. And I thought I'd sort of quickly walk through that journey because it is what helped us prepare to support everyone when the COVID crisis hit in February and March. So it was over a decade ago that we launched the availability of our cloud services in what we called Microsoft Online Services. And we did a lot of learning with those early adopter customers. And a couple of years after that, we were able to launch this as a broad initiative from us called Office 365. We continued to grow, get your feedback, invest in data center and services and management tools and guidance, and made a number of improvements along the way, including one that I'm quite proud of is in 2016, we announced the future of SharePoint, where SharePoint would provide a new experience powering a number of things to come from Microsoft. We knew it was under development. We didn't share it yet, but a communications experience with calls, chats, meetings, channels, all in one, connecting to not just SharePoint, but other collaboration services with Microsoft Teams. So that released the following year. And we announced that we had grown to 85 million monthly active users in Office 365. And then with a continued growth and the expansion around the world, and of course the acceleration with remote work and education with COVID, in April we had announced that over 250 million people were using Office 365, 10 times the number of SharePoint users as the previous 4 years ago. And Microsoft Teams, as a sign of its utility to customers, was at 75 million daily active users. All these numbers have grown since. We'll have some updates at this point, but I really wanted to again emphasize your commitment to us, your feedback has allowed us to invest and invest and invest, and we don't take your feedback and support for granted, as hopefully you see in the next set of announcements. So when I took over responsibility in Microsoft Teams, in addition to the work I had in my other areas, it was to help us bring together a holistic solution for collaboration. Satya calls Microsoft 365 the world's productivity cloud. And what we're trying to do is take the communications assets of Teams with the content management assets of SharePoint and provide a much more cohesive and simple experience for collaboration, both for end users and as a platform for developers in IT. And I'm really excited that at Ignite, which we did virtually a few weeks ago, we had our biggest news day yet, responding to the feedback and ideas that many of you shared with us in Teams, but also hopefully we surprised you on a few things as well. So I'm not going to do all the news that we did at Ignite. You can see that online. But to put it into context, I'll highlight a few things. So first of all, hopefully everybody at TeamsFest knows Microsoft Teams is our hub for teamwork. It brings together chat, calls, meetings, all in one place, including collaboration tools and line of business apps from us and third parties for the simplicity of one-stop shopping for distributed work. That's Microsoft Teams, our hub for teamwork. And boy, did we have a big Ignite. So we announced more scenes, different types of layouts like coffee bars for together mode, custom layouts like you see here where we've got somebody overlaying on the PowerPoint. Breakout rooms is coming out in October. We know we're excited about that. An automatic meeting recap so you can follow up with the agenda and action items for what's gone on in a meeting. Webinar support, more out of the box than Teams. Tons of improvements in our meetings rooms experiences and devices with partners. Brand new simplified calling experiences, templates for Teams meetings so you can have different types of teams for sales and HR and so forth that you can provision. A brand new, much more relevant and engaging search experience. Tons of integration for developers, the Power Platform, Power BI capabilities baked in natively into Teams. And then extending this Teams flexibility we've had in chat and tabs to Teams meetings, so you can bring in your business applications, maybe a patient care application, into the meeting stage side by side, so doctors and nurses can talk to patients. And this just scratches the surface, but hopefully this shows we're listening to your feedback as well as partnering across Microsoft to do a lot of innovation in Teams. On the content management side, sometimes I get asked, how does SharePoint relate to Teams? You can think of as SharePoint providing our content services platform that powers all sorts of intelligent content collaboration experiences. Of course, gorgeous SharePoint sites, but files experience, lists experience, videos you experience that exist in Microsoft Teams, as well as the browser and standalone app experience. So it's really a very flexible content management system where the experiences, you'll see them increasingly inside Teams. So let me highlight some of the things that are relevant, particularly to Teams. So we did tons of progress on files in OneDrive. One of my favorite is Add to OneDrive, where OneDrive can browse all your files, so all your sites and Teams anywhere on any device. Microsoft Lists, like files, another building block in Microsoft 365 in SharePoint in a standalone list application, but also inside Microsoft Teams native. So these Lego blocks of SharePoint are available inside and outside Teams and websites. One of the biggest things we're doing is taking the intranet experience people love to create and customize in SharePoint and bringing it inside Teams with a SharePoint home site app. Tons of publishing features targeting news to people based on that. We announced some new AI-based capabilities for content management. This is something that we've called Project Cortex. It's now got a name. It's SharePoint Syntax, so we were excited to highlight that. One of the biggest pieces of news we announced is Stream Videos, our Stream Video service, and Teams meeting recordings will be stored in SharePoint. So all the collaboration and compliance capabilities, external sharing, its search, et cetera, that people expect and have been asking for Teams meetings and Stream Videos is coming because it's built on SharePoint. Also, the third-party extensibility for how you customize SharePoint sites and pages, the SharePoint framework, we're bringing that inside Teams, again, so you can use the SharePoint as a publishing system for great sites and great Teams applications. Tons of security and compliance features. I'll just name a couple. The ability to put sensitivity labels like confidential or public or top secret across Teams and the corresponding SharePoint content. And then information barriers. So the ability to say, hey, the investment banking group cannot talk to the trading group or know about its existence. Teams and the underlying SharePoint content repository will respect that. So hopefully you see a ton of innovation in SharePoint supporting this larger Teams-based strategy, but also continuing to innovate in great ways in SharePoint sites and OneDrive files as well. So with that, I will close and say thank you very much. Obviously, we have a lot more news coming. Many of my colleagues and some of our amazing community members are going to share that and have a wonderful, wonderful TeamsFest. We're so thrilled to get to work with you at such a critical time. Thanks.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are. My name is Chris Hord. I'm Partner Education Lead at Fusion here in the UK, one of the organisers of TeamsFest. And I would like to welcome you here today. Alongside me is Adam Deltinger and Vesku Nopanen. And we're going to go through a little bit about the day and some housekeeping. To start out today, we're going to talk a little bit about TeamsFest. What is TeamsFest? If this is your first time being here today, I'm going to explain a little bit about the day. So TeamsFest is a 100% free, 100% community-based digital event. And we're going to break that down into 3 parts. First of all, it's all about Teams. The whole breadth of Teams. This is something that we're all passionate about, whether it's about adoption, whether it's about voice or meetings, or whether it's about calling, or whether it's about deployment. We all share this passion for Microsoft Teams. That's the reason why we're here today. Secondly, it's all about the community. So there is a massive community that surrounds Microsoft Teams. We are all part of it. We are all coming together in order to share that passion. And thirdly, it's all a little bit about giving back. So all of the speakers that you see here today, they generally are consultants or architects, and they work every day within business deploying Microsoft Teams. But we all share this passion for being able to give back to the community. Underlying it all is this idea that we are democratizing Teams knowledge and experience. TeamsFest is designed as a digital event that gives access to everyone. It's really important in our positions of privilege to be able to give access to an event that people may not be able to afford or may not be able to attend. And that is something that's kind of shared amongst all of the speakers that you will see here today. We are all firm believers in this idea that everyone can achieve more together, that together everyone achieves more. So I'd like to welcome you to TeamsFest and to thank you ever so much for your interest, and we really hope you have a great day. Talking a little bit more about what your day will look like, we have 8 tracks. Over those 8 tracks are 85 sessions. Overall, there's about 50 hours of content that are going to be shared today. And from feedback last time, we have 8 dedicated moderators to the tracks. Now, just running through a few of those tracks, we have, as you can see on the right-hand side, adoption and governance, security and compliance, all the way through to the Power Platform. Now, we decided to do it in this way because it gives you the options to have the online event that you want to have. So option 1, you can just choose a single learning track if that is what your specific interest is. The second option, you can mix and match sessions across tracks. We hope that you have visited our event hub. We hope that you have had a look over the whole schedule prior to arriving today. So you have the complete option and flexibility to be able to do what is best for you. It was really important for us to be able to give you that option. We've also tried with this event to make the join experience as easy as possible. So we took feedback from our last digital event and we created a registration this time around. That's at euroteamsug.com/registration. And by registering to the event, you will have an ICS file that will be downloaded where you can easily join to the room. You would use this in conjunction with our event hub to be able to plan your day. However, there is also the second option that's still available. We used this for our last 2 events, we have a home site at euroteamsug.com/TeamsFest that has the schedule and it has the join links. So if it's easier for you, you can go to that page and direct join to the room that you want to participate in. Also today, and one of the new innovations that we've had this time around is the virtual lounge. So the virtual lounge is a space where you can go and talk, you can go and socialize, network, and will also act as an overflow for the sessions. We were originally going to call this Vesku's Virtual Sauna, but we didn't know the consequences of that, so we settled on something more conservative called the Virtual Lounge. So at any point today, during the conference, you can go to teamsfest.rocks/lounge and then go and interact and socialize with all of your fellow attendees. Now, we've talked a little bit about TeamsFest. We've talked a little bit about the tracks and the sessions. I just want to start out by saying and giving my thanks to the whole of the organization team, to Adam Deltinger, to Vesku Noponen, and to Chris Webb. This is an endeavor that we've worked on for the last 5 months together to come through and put this all together. I'd like to thank all of our moderators that will be dedicated to making sure you have the best experience on the tracks. Michael, Peter, Chirag, Lee, Paul, Lalit, Magnus and Sharon. They have all taken their time. They're going to be going through the whole of the day today. It's an unbelievable commitment to being able to do this. And also to all our wonderful speakers. By participating in our event, they have put together all of their material, all of their demos. They have come along today because they believe in this concept of democratizing information and that together everyone achieves more. 3 ways in which you can help us today. The first is being able to mute yourself during the sessions. Whilst this keynote is a live event, every session today will be in a Teams meeting. So you can show your support for our speakers and attendees by muting until Q&A at the end of the session. Secondly, you can also participate in feedback. We will post the feedback links in every session. Your feedback is valuable in 2 ways. First, it's valuable to our speakers in order to assess their performance. And secondly, it's important to us to assess the event. We want to hear about what you want to see in the future. Thirdly, you can show your love for TeamsFest today by posting out on social, whether on Twitter or whether on LinkedIn. All you need to do is use the hashtag TeamsFest. And we'd really love to see that. We'd really love to see you posting up about how you're enjoying your day and getting involved. So I wanted to keep this housekeeping really short and sweet so we can move on to the insights section. And so first up, we're going to start with Vesku Noponen. He is going to talk a little bit about Teams as a platform and how that's important for us going forward. Vesku, do you want to take it away?
Thank you, Chris, and thank you, Jeff, for the great keynote video. One of the big topics today, as Chris stated, we wanted to highlight you today is the Teams as a platform, because we all already use Teams as a hub for teamwork and for collaborating with our colleagues, having meetings, chats, editing files. But there's so much more to Teams that makes it the hub for work, or when you are looking even more to the future, the operating system for work. By bringing together people, teamwork, integrations and applications, Teams provides a way to create the one user-friendly interface where the data and services the organization uses are in the user's fingertips. That reduces the need to switch between different software to get the job done, basically increasing productivity and thus creating cost savings. And on top of that, when you add services as apps to Teams, this also reduces the time to learn when you are rolling out new applications or extensions, because hey, your users are already familiar with Teams. So it's a very easy learning process for them. And think about the process. For example, employee onboarding. When the new employee logs into Teams the first time, and they are instantly greeted by a bot and can start their virtual tour introducing the company, culture and practices, even during the night. It will also ask for the new employee to fill up some of the information to the HR system. And the beauty of that, the user, the new employee, doesn't have to have the knowledge where the HR system is, or is it inside the Microsoft 365 cloud or outside? It doesn't matter because they are using Teams. And after that, the app can then assist the employee in creating the introductory text by asking some questions. And moving the ball to HR team, they review the information and the progress goes forward. And all this happens inside Teams in a single app that has both the bots and tabs for updating the personal information, getting targeted information, benefits, policies, and the organization structure. And this can make the Teams one-stop shop for starting the employee onboarding and one-stop shop for being the front door to your organization. There are other uses like, or examples, how about increasing sales by marking a message in Teams as an opportunity and creating a lead of that to CRM, or popping up a form to asking to fill in some more details and then automatically pushing information to the sales. What about mobile maintenance workers on the field, their task list, or informing the staff about changing products, or at stores about pullbacks? And one of the great additions to Teams platform capabilities is to add the applications to meetings. This was released at Ignite, and this will make meetings more connected to the business processes even before the meeting itself is started. And when the meeting is started, during the meeting, presenter can receive important information from that application, like lead details or job candidate information, and of course update them. And after the meeting, presenter can keep on adding insights that are automatically updated to the integrated backend service without switching to another application or to another web browser or somewhere else. And on top, soon services like ServiceNow and Poly can be added to meetings as apps, and it's going to be fun to have polls in meetings again. The use of apps has tripled in past 5 months already, and the users are expecting more of their tools and line of business applications to be available for them through Teams in the near future. And there are already 600 plus of other applications available in the Teams App Store today. So the applications extend the capabilities these Teams has and also connect the user to business processes and services. Creating applications and intelligent bots is of course always hard and requires always weeks to months of work and a data scientist or two in your team, right? Wrong. You don't need to be a professional developer because using the Power Platform allows citizen developers and business subject matter experts to create their own apps and bots easily to match the needs they have right at the moment. And when those needs change, and in this world we know they do change, they can adjust the app to meet up those new requirements. This makes the organizations more agile and more responsive. Time from idea to proof of concept and to production can be surprisingly short, also making the return of investment faster. This just tells about the versatility and possibilities of using Teams to match different and changing needs. Teams as a platform is a door to organizations surfacing information, alerts, notifications, and other capabilities from backend systems using the native user interface of the tool they are already using, Microsoft Teams, on any device. So today is a good day to start planning how you can get more out of Teams as a platform. Now I will hand this over to Adam to talk about our next key point. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Vesa. So our second insight is wellness. So over the past few years, remote working has become more and more common. And due to the pandemic, the number of people working from home has increased tremendously. There are several benefits to working from home, such as saving time commuting, the money spent on travels, and being more environmentally friendly. However, there can also be some challenges with this. According to recent statistics by Microsoft, 30% of the first line and information workers have reported increased feelings of burnout due to the pandemic. So let's go through how this could be. So when working from home, it becomes harder to focus on your work. You have now family, pets, household chores, or even our favorite TV show readily available. It's really easy to find yourself giving in to these distractions, telling ourselves that we will catch up on work later in the evening. It can also become very difficult to maintain a healthy work-life balance with the workplace literally in your home. The typical boundaries between the two is almost non-existent. Working beyond the scheduled workday and at times late into the evening is an increasing problem that we see. Further factors that challenges well-being are the isolation and social distancing people are subjected to when working from home. Change of scenery, water cooling discussions, and co-workers leaving for lunch breaks are examples of situations that no longer naturally occur. And we all know that it will take some time before we all can get back to the office. So in the meantime, Microsoft recently announced several features in Teams to support remote workers with all this. For example, with insights in Microsoft Teams, numerous components will be available to help you mitigate these challenges. Virtual Commute will get your mindset ready for work as well as help you with wind down and disconnect at the end of the day. Break scheduling, make sure you have breaks scheduled before your calendar gets filled with work. Emotional check-ins will help you, your teammates and managers get better information about emotional and mental health, which in turn makes it easier to foresee employee burnouts before they happen. In addition, Microsoft also partnered with Headspace that will bring mindful experiences and meditation into Microsoft Teams to help reduce stress and burnout. They're also improving Together mode, which makes us feel more involved in our meetings as well. Also remember there are several existing features that you can leverage today, like quiet hours to stop work noise off hours, focus assist and do not disturb, for example, helping you focus to get work done. Furthermore, the new task tab in Teams will make it easier for you to get an overview of all your tasks and complete them in a structured way. So remember, well-being comes before productivity. And to quote Microsoft on this, to thrive at work, we need to take care of ourselves. With that, I hand over back to Chris for the third insight.
Thank you very much, Adam. And thank you very much to Vesku as well. As Vesku pointed out, Teams as a platform is something that we are going to have to think about a lot more going forward in the next year. And as you said, Adam, well-being is really, really important as we are in this phase of hybrid working. The third point that I'd like to discuss, I've named Our Children's Future, because it's really about going beyond just thinking about Teams in a business context. It's also about thinking in an education context. You have been talking about developing wellness in response to working remotely, but also as well, many of our children have been learning remotely, and that is really, really critical because the education of our children is absolutely paramount. And it's about thinking about not just the functionality in Teams today, but also thinking about the functionality in Teams in the future, both in terms of what we want to see in 12 months time, in 24 months time, but about that technology being able to facilitate our children's education and giving them the skills that we want to see in the future. So what I think is really important to consider is just the amount of innovation that education is having on Microsoft Teams. So when we think about these features that have come out over the course of the summer during the COVID-19 period, features such as large gallery view or the lobby with only me bypass, these are all features that are being driven largely out of education. So for example, the large gallery view, the ability to see 7 by 7 or 49 people within the meeting, That was driven by teachers wanting to be able to see all of the students in their class whilst conducting those virtual learning experiences. The lobby with Only Me bypass, in education terms, that was because teachers did not want their students being able to be in the classroom before they were ready and they were put into a situation which didn't go so well for them. Raise hand, that's a perfect example of the kind of functionality that teachers want to see. Now, I'm very, very passionate about these things because prior to coming into IT, I used to be a secondary school teacher, so I can really understand the experience. But the importance is of education going forward as parents, as adults and stakeholders in the community. It's really, really important for us to continue to drive and support the education aspects of Teams and being able to push for those features and functionalities, because they will also come back into our business environment too. So moving on from Teams as a platform and the idea of wellness is this idea that we have to think more than just about business when we are considering Teams. We have to think about education. We have to think about non-profit. We have to think about government and how Teams can work in those environments. And it's really important for us to be able to get behind this. The spotlight functionality has literally just hit all of our environments. That's going to be excellent for the education environment. We are going to see new functionality, as was announced at Ignite, that is again going to push for a better virtual classroom experience. The custom layouts feature, where you can transpose the speaker on top of the PowerPoint presentation, that is going to be effective. The ability for virtual breakout rooms, where if I'm a teacher, I can have group activities and break my students down into groups and put them into virtual breakout rooms. We also have the hard mute functionality, whereby the teacher can prevent their students from unmuting when they are speaking, and also the meeting recap, so that all of those class materials are together in the meeting details. All this innovation is being pushed not only by Microsoft, but the whole community on something called user voice. And we will go back to that point that together we can achieve more. It's really, really important, if you do not know about it today, to visit the Microsoft user voice site and vote up on the functionality that you want to see. The product and the engineering teams review this site. By voting up on all of these articles, you will not only be notified when Microsoft picks it up, but you can push for the features and the innovations that you want to see. If you have an idea that you think can better Teams and better the future, not only of doing business, but of the education of our children, you can go and vote it up, you can go and promote it on social. So today in TeamsFest, when you are watching your sessions, have a think about what potential new features do I want to see within Microsoft Teams? How can they benefit us within business? How can they benefit our children within education? So those are our 3 insights and our considerations to take on board today. I just want to round up by saying that everyone who has come today can play their part. We would love to see them collaborate today. We designed the sessions in standard Teams meetings so that you can engage with the speakers, you can ask your questions, and you can give them feedback within their sessions. I would like to take the time to thank Jeff Tieper for the welcome. He spent a lot of time on that introduction, and it was just amazing to see it played back live. I would like to thank all my co-organizers, to Adam, to Vesku, to Chris Webb. I would like to thank all the moderators who are going to push forward all the sessions and make sure that all our attendees have a great experience. To thank all our speakers for giving up their time in order to be able to speak today. and to thank you for coming along and attending today. We really, really hope that you get the most out of the day. We hope that you have your schedule planned, and if not, you can go to our home site, have a browse through the sessions, and then join the sessions directly on the page. We would like to wish you an absolutely brilliant day. We've worked hard on putting together a schedule that is innovative, that covers the whole breadth of Teams. And remember, you've got the complete option to go through a learning track or move between the tracks and have the conference that you want to have. So wrapping up the keynote, have the best day. It's time to know, go and grab that coffee and to prepare for the first session. So we're going to leave this slide up for the next kind of 30 to 45 minutes. Here are all the links to be able to join the rooms. As you can see, starting out in room 1 with adoption and management, we have Megan and Laurie and Strand. They're going to be talking about Microsoft Teams post-COVID, so stories of implementation. Magnus is going to be talking in the security and governance rooms about how to secure information in Microsoft Teams. Vesku is going to be on the way to his own personal session. He's going to be powering up productivity with automations using the Power Platform. Craig Cheffers is going to be talking about building auto attendance and call queues in room 4. In room 5, Nicole Enders is kicking off talking about the next generation of homeschooling in Microsoft Teams, so very much linked in to that third point and insight that I just discussed. In room 6, we've got Joe Ferreira, a journey through Microsoft Teams development. So this is all about the history of development within Microsoft Teams. Fabio Franzini is going to be empowering frontline workers with Power Apps in room 7. And last of all, in room 8, with the Power Platform, Sharon Sumner is going to be integrating those power tools into Microsoft Teams. We know that today you are not going to be able to see every session, and there are going to be hard choices to make over which sessions to attend. But we do, as a final point, want to say that all of the sessions will be on demand in the weeks after the event. We are going to be loading them all up onto our YouTube page. And for everyone who was registered, they will have a last communication giving you links to our YouTube page. If you want to find it during the event, just go onto YouTube and search for European Teams User Group. And that's where we will put all our video from today. So thank you very much. This is the 3rd TeamsFest. It's the biggest TeamsFest that we've ever done. It's got speakers from all around the world who are passionate about Teams, passionate about democratizing their Teams knowledge by putting it in your hands. You deserve access. You deserve to be able to come to a digital event if you have not got the funds to be able to do so. We just want to say that we are absolutely honored that you have chosen our event, and we wish you the very best day. Thank you so much.